Hey,
Morning.
morning.
Good morning, team. That's on deep. Okay. So let's start off with the fact that we lost Chris. So how do we fill in his gaps? I know JP and Adrian were both having trouble getting in contact with Chris, but I think I saw him active last night. Is there any update on that?
From my end, he pushed some PRs on the back end, but he didn't push any PRs on the front end, so the integration is not there. From what I'm basing, he hasn't shown me anything that would be integrated that would connect the back end to the front end. But I don't know if JP has any updates because JP and I talked after my work last night, and it's the same thing. But go ahead, JP.
Yeah. So I check if he has some left some kind of remote branch on the front end, but I did not see any about integration. And I also already texted him and he didn't reply yet.
Okay. Is this something that wouldn't be too tough to take over? For someone to take over, or do you think it would be kind of tough and we should probably just wait for Chris? I mean, we're not pushing it anymore either. We're not pushing TernKey as fast anymore, so we could just wait. It's not a big deal.
We could.
And I have some like floating ideas about with this overhaul, to do the overhaul for TernKey. Say we're gonna do all these implementing all of these best practices and whatnot. And I've been reading some old books that have been collecting some dust, but I always thought were really, really interesting and have never been more useful till now. This is one book. Actually, the entire book's on GitHub. I can shoot the link, but it's just all about exactly what we're talking about and why an overhaul is necessary. Like, I mean, it's not good that a lot of developers notice this. The productivity just decreases with time in a team, and it's almost always because of how they start out, like with what Sangeet was talking about. And so I've been getting some more like useful ideas about this. Yeah, this is one thing. Have you ever played back an edit session? I thought this was interesting. Blah blah blah. We used to have something that kept track of our editing sessions, and you could work for an hour and then play back your whole edit session like in real high speed. And when he did this, the vast majority of the playback was just scrolling and navigating to other modules. That's mostly what he spent all of his time doing. He wasn't even coding. He was just finding other stuff. And this is one example he exclaims, like, Bob enters the module. He scrolls down to the function needing change. He pauses, considering his options. Oh, he's scrolling up to the top of the module to check the initialization of a variable. Now he scrolls back down and begins to type. Oops, he's erasing what he typed. He types it again. He erases it again. He has to check a function. He has to check this. He has to check that. So This, I feel, is where the documentation, you have a couple of documents open on your laptop, and instead of moving all around the code and getting all confused, you're just referencing a document, you're referencing this utility file, you're referencing this, you know what to do for Redux and everything. So I definitely want to be careful in our approach to implementing all of these adherences.
Just a just a note. You might want to separate like Redux from all of that, because Redux from experience, a little bit of experience, and also from Googling it, it takes minor changes takes about 2 to 3 weeks, and then big changes takes about months. So, I mean, we do have Maxim, so who knows?
I mean,
But
another thing I was thinking, is what if, because Maxim is able to blow through UI, really well. Maxim's able to blow through both really fast, but he can only blow through one. So I thought, okay, what if we had the entire team work on integrations with all of these new standards in place? And what you can imagine is Manan has all the documentation set. Ashutosh has developed some kind of utility filing system. We're using naming conventions. We have real structures. Maybe we even have Redux. And now we have the entire team do what they just did, but all well prepared, way less questions. What if Maxim did the whole turnkey UI himself with it in mind for integration with the website, and all of us kind of just did exactly what we just did, but much more well prepared, instead of deciding to apply Redux and apply all of these things inside of what we have right now? Because I know naturally what you want to do is always fix the thing that you started on. But in my experience in running a few businesses, it's great to learn a lot, work a lot, learn a lot, and build something, and then get rid of it and restart and build it way faster, way better, very fast. So just kind of something I'm just some food for thought. I know it seems weird and scary and like backwards, but it might not. It may actually end up being much faster if we just have like Maxim make all the UI real quick, and he's making the UI so that it does, there's Figma, so that it does fit into this website structure. So he wouldn't just be building regular turnkey UI. He would be building the UI that's only meant to be integrated into the website as a whole. And then all of us figure out the documentation API, figure out what it's going to look like in a final setting, and start integrating as we have been, but with almost no questions coming up, with everyone's structures being very similar instead of everybody coding however they want. Because I feel like that's what these do. These make it so that we do program more like one programmer instead of like a bunch of different programmers trying to glue stuff together. So, I mean, for now, I suppose we can just keep on steady pace. But with that in mind, and Adrian, I'm sure we'll have meetings about this, and maybe we'll get the like 5 of us to have a meeting about how we could go about this and what maybe unforeseen obstacles are in the future. But for now, let's just keep on going this route, just to see what every function can throw at us, every wrench it can throw at us, and just slowly work through this. Again, Arch team only putting 10% of their time into this. Okay, so let's just get into what everybody did now that I got all that food for thought out there. Sangeet, how are you doing with let's go over what we need to explain to Adrian. You overachieved on your
Yeah.
function.
No, I just texted him last night, like just before the just after raising that PR, I just realized that okay, I just done something more than what you are explaining. Okay, so yeah, Adrian, did you see that message?
I did.
Okay, so what the thing is that actually for me to do that save letter key, I need to propagate. I mean, I need to fill all the details from that is coming from the backend. So then only I can do that save letter key. So I just what I've done is that I just pull all the data from the backend, which is supposed to be Maxim's work actually.
Okay.
So Maximus actually already done that work and he raised a PR like a few days back, and it's currently under review. It's all so it's been there. So uh, if you just accept that PR and just merge the things, just let me know that so I can just edit the code and just implement that save later key. So or that's one way, or you can just directly copy paste the save later key. So that's just a few lines of code, but I don't think so that would be that much easier because you need to change a lot of codes here and there, like in a multiple files actually. So
Okay.
if you let me after the PR, I can change the code. That's not a problem.
I will do that. I will let you. I will respond to you, or I will
Mhm.
reach out to you once I do it.
Okay. So
It's
that's one thing.
which branch was that? Which PR?
It's Maxim's Wonder or mine?
Yeah, Maxims.
Just give me a sec. Okay. The thing is that actually I didn't see a PR over there, but he's one is actually under review in that sheets actually. So
What's what's the route name?
the route name is actually slash explore. Like the route I mean the function name is actually get explore key.
The function name is get explore key that he
Yeah.
made, but the route name is explore.
Yeah. So what the
Okay.
thing is that actually when you go to the explore page, all the data will be all the data of the keys will be get and populated in using the get explore key function.
Right. Okay.
So it's still under review. So under review means actually he's raised a PR under which is actually under observation, right?
Right.
Which is ready for merging or something like that.
Yeah, there's some conflicts on all of his PRs. So I
Mhm.
think JP has reached out to him already to resolve them.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, that's what this comment was about. Sankey cannot take care of that until Maxim's pull request is merged.
Mhm.
Okay, but it's kind of all in your hands now, Adrian.
Okay.
Also, just to update, last night Malika was having a bunch of issues with the back end, and Sangeet Manan and Maxim and I troubleshooted that with her. Not really sure. Was there a real issue, or was it just something tricky, or did we fix something?
It's not a real issue. Actually, it was something like see, it's just a kind of she never used the backend like server first of all. So whenever you are just for using it for the first time, they will have some confusions, right?
Okay,
That's all.
okay, that's what I thought.
But she had all the env files and all that
Now
stuff.
she had it, so that's a problem because we have a lot of prerequisites before just running the backend, right?
Right.
So we need to have a lot of files, and we need to be in a specific folder, like so these kind of issues. And
Right.
one more thing was that actually at many backend places where we are still using the session for getting that email, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we need to change it to the email actually. So Manan did that and changed that particular code. Like so instead of just getting the email from the session, he just directly got the email like from the request body.
From the request body. Okay.
Yep. So that's a very common error. So she'll understand when. Okay, now she understand everything.
Yep, yeah. Now she's all caught up. All right, JP, you want to give us an update of what you did yesterday and what you're doing today? Okay, never mind. Ashutosh, go ahead.
Yeah, with regard to having all of these environment files and all of the information available for anyone who onboards, I guess our repository is currently private. So we could just add it to the README for now, the drive link for the env files and everything. But later on, when we if and when we make this public, or this repository is accessible to anyone new, we'd have to remove the drive link to the env files from the README.
Well, we probably shouldn't to start with, just because if we
Yeah.
become like it's okay if she reaches out for the env files and we give the link to her.
Yeah, but then it's going to be confusing for someone who's dealing with backend for the first time if they don't even know that we need env files in there in the first place.
Right. So maybe we can write some instructions for
Yeah,
the
that
next
too. Or maybe just update the README in a way that that instructs anyone new to reach out to us for the env files.
Got it. Yeah. Agreed.
That's all.
Okay, now JP, let's hear it.
So I only did some PRs yesterday, and I'm starting working on the update cards function. Yeah, and also Wasim did get online on my side, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, he answered me at like two in the morning. He said he was gonna do his thing. He didn't. We're talking about the SSL, the setting up the SSL domain, subdomain arch.turn.ac with Wasim, because when he sets it up, I think it takes a couple of hours or something for it to load. Then he'll actually be able to supply me with the IP address, and then I have to do this. I have to add a host name, and Wix happens to be our domain hosting service provider. And so I can do auth.turn.ac here. But right now, and
I
then
got an email from them, by the way,
that could take a while too. From who?
from Wix, how it's expiring.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was we don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means you're still plugged into there. That's funny. Remember trying to do a container on there?
Good God.
That idea was scrapped so quickly. We
Yeah.
went to GCP so fast. It was like
Yeah.
2 days on Wix, and we were like, nope,
No.
out of here. Okay.
Instead of having the subdomain for authentication, we could just use api.turn.ac/auth, and that way our backend could be one single backend. We could continue using the same backend for authentication.
Do you want to do that though? Because when I'm looking at HPE and IBM, they're doing like everything. They're doing auth. They're doing like my sign in dot their website. It's like they eventually separate it into so many things, and I feel like it's for security purposes. But like,
Uh,
Yeah.
that's actually microservices. That's actually a
Yeah.
different thing than our system.
Yeah, they have different services set up, multiple
but-
backend setup.
yeah.
You remember the conversation we were having yesterday with Wasim?
Yes.
So yeah, microservices are really not the direction we need to go in for now, because that is going to be complicated and it's going to require a lot of scaling up our
But
resources.
the thing is that we need to host each backend server for each services.
Yeah,
So that's
So-
pretty harder for us. That's pretty costly for us. And so
we are going to have to
what
split the
this-
backend.
so we want to split the backend up like this, and then like this.
I mean, personally, for each function, you need a backend server. So that's actually a microservices.
Yeah, but this is good for now.
So,
we
just stick
this
to
is
our
actually
format
what
right
we
now.
want to set up instead.
Mm-hmm.
So where that would only come into play right here, right? I don't have to tell Wasim to do anything different. I would just end up typing it out. Oh wait, no, I can't do it like that. See?
No, so you don't need to do anything with that.
So
That's
he would have to do it.
He will create the endpoint in the same server for the Arch tool,
yeah.
but
Okay.
that will increase load because then backend and the Arch tool will be working on the same server.
Yeah, but then it's easier to deal with one server and apply load management on that than have microservices come in and differentiate our backend into separate microservice
Okay.
providers.
So we definitely need to get a meeting in with Wasim today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
to not only get him to
For Arch, we would need arch.turn.ac. That's a separate matter. That's to fetch this QR code and render everything.
okay, so we need both. So which one is the highest priority? Which one's for Thursday? Arch.turn?
Yeah, arch.turn.ac. That's the highest priority.
Okay, this is all we're going to talk with Wasim about. We'll talk to him about the other stuff later.
Yeah. And that's actually part of the restructuring that we would probably need to have done for the next iteration.
For like the 17th or like the January 1st?
January 1st.
Okay.
It's
So
for
I'll-
turn. It will also impact TernKey. So January 1st, definitely. Not anytime sooner.
Okay, so
Let me edit that out.
all right, Joe Mar, how about you? What are your updates?
So I am finished with the save code function, and I actually just need to do a pull request for it and refactor the API call so that I send the email via the body. And for later, I'll start with remove card function.
Got it. Okay. And you'll start remove card today?
Yes.
Okay. And Ernest, how about you?
Yeah, so yesterday I've updated the lead to account integration, but it's still under review. Adrian made some issue with it, but it's working for me and Mana. We already checked 2 days before. Also, I made pull request for welcome model, and I saw there is save transaction details for my task in progress, but I'm not sure there is this API in backend side. So I suggested Mana to check about this. That's all.
Okay.
Yeah, I updated that function.
So is there that API?
Uh, no, I haven't created that function. I don't know. I have used that thing, but the endpoint name was export transaction detail. It was not save transaction detail.
Then
I
I
have made
need.
changes in the Excel and the Firebase.
Okay, let me check about this. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And Sangeet, you gave us your update more or less. We'll be waiting on the pull requests and the after Maxim's merged. And I mean, I'd say, do you have anything to add for TernKey specifically, Manan?
Sorry, what?
Do you have anything to add for TernKey?
No.
Okay, then I'd say that wraps up TernKey Scrum. Well, what I'm gonna have, well, almost wraps it up. So what I'm gonna have Maxim do, so that we can actually take some action and not just keep this as food for thought, the overhaul, is I'm gonna have him analyze his own code, and because he really likes, he does a great job of keeping it structured and doing components and keeping it organized. So I'd like for him to show a couple examples and be like, hey, this is how I'm doing it, and hear what you guys think about it. We'll have him share his screen and his code, and we can be like, hey, how about we make this change? How about we make this change? And then in general, we can get an idea of what kind of structure we want to go with going forward, and kind of just make rules for ourselves that we have to follow. So while we're going into it, we have to like know that we're going to constrain ourselves, but for the sake of efficiency. And then I could see a situation where we blow through this and completely remake Turnkey in 2 weeks because of all of the things that we've learned over the past like 2 months, uh, and applying this new structure. So probably towards the end of the day, I'll have something about that, and then maybe tomorrow we'll do a meeting on it in the morning. But for now, the main priority is to get Arch set up with Wasim through GCP, and yeah, that's definitely the priority.
Can I piggyback on that? I think, I mean, I've been saying this from the get-go when you guys started working, right? Like if you to review the code to make sure that you actually see the conventions of how the code has been written, so that nobody like it's not like 17 different developers like putting code together into one. And that's also something developers already know from the get-go. If you're getting into part of a team, you have to analyze the code first before actually making code, so that it kind of like, it kind of matches everything else, by convention, right? By naming convention or how we structure the functions and all that stuff. So it shouldn't have been a problem. But I guess, I mean, we do have several different minds, and that's how it becomes like, it kind of digresses. But to keep in mind for the future, make sure that, what you're looking at and what you're adding into the code base matches what was in there beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like it comes down to not having a hierarchical definition of what that is. So I feel like that would help, because then we could point out like that followed it, that did not follow it. Because then you get into some of these guys are, but they're following code of somebody else who didn't follow the other code at all before. So it's like, well, I tried, but the code keeps on changing on me. So even if half of the team is following that guideline, if the other half isn't, it's a mess. And honestly, if one or two people aren't, then we can remedy the situation. But when half the team doesn't, there's no definition. So
Also, I noticed that when we start with something new, for instance, when we started backend integration, having these APIs integrated onto the front end, that's also one point of time where we start seeing these differences come in. Because I had the idea of creating this common API component which everyone could use, and this is one place that would be a great way to debug any issues. But then I see that others just make API calls directly in their part of the code instead of reusing that API component. So when we start off with something new and we transition onto building or adding in a new service, that's a key moment of time where we need to make sure that everyone is on the same page.
Yep. Well, luckily we know we are not adding in anything new. We have the website, Arch, Turnkey, and the next, the hardware simulator is the next feature that we know is being added, and
Right.
so we have time
And,
to
one more thing that I
prepare
need
for
to
that.
add on top of this. So whenever we are just creating a component, for example, for anything, a reusable component, we need to document it, or at least mark it somewhere so that other developers could see that, okay, there is this component. So
Right.
we have a very large code base, in the sense we have hundreds of files with nearly 1,000 lines of code. So we can literally just find or just search, okay, if there is a component is available or not. For example, initially I've designed a card, I guess, like we have these models, right? So I just created a model on my own, but later I just realized, okay, there is a model for the success. There is already a model available for that. So it's because actually I didn't know that like a model is like a success model is actually available right there. So we need to make sure that all these things are documented properly. I know the documentation process is actually not our just first priority, but I'm just saying that not for right now, but for the future iterations.
Yeah, one platform wherein we document everything correctly, because right now even I thought I felt the same thing when I mean originally when I started off I saw that the components, the UI components that were being made were documented on Figma, but then if there were certain functions, certain use cases that needed to be documented, we really didn't have anything in place at the beginning. And even for the backend APIs, listing out what APIs need to be integrated, we had to go ahead and add this one spreadsheet for API functions later on. So we ought to have one platform, one place where we document everything. Otherwise, it will be a process of looking through several things and several different places like Figma, and then checking out spreadsheets, and then actually having to go through the entire code to look for it. Well, by that point, a developer would probably be frustrated and just create everything from scratch.
Yeah.
So
And one more thing, actually, I need to ask this. So you had a component, right? Make API call, right,
yeah,
Ashutosh? So in that, actually, we are sending a token, right?
yeah.
So do our every functions in the backend need a token?
The authentication functions don't. So if it's login, sign up, create password, reset password,
So every other function need a token, right?
that's right.
But actually, without a token, I think most of the functions works.
Yeah, they do on the back end, but we need to fix that.
Uh,
That's
all right, all right, all right. Yeah, because one of the thing is that actually yesterday, I guess actually when I was working on the save letter key, I didn't send the token or just I didn't ask for this with credentials one, but it's actually working over there.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
I had a confusion. Oh, without the token, this one is actually working there.
Yeah, so that token really helps us figure out if the user is currently signed in.
Don't
It's the
do it
session
right now
cookie.
because like what the thing is that for the testing purposes, sometimes we don't need to log in it, right? So otherwise, actually, we always need to go log in and just test it right now. So we can do it after later. This
Well, actually,
all.
we should probably have that in place because
Mhm.
for testing purposes as well, if the user is not logged in and if the user is logged in, we need to be able to identify that these scenarios have been constructed and implemented correctly.
Oh, all right, all right. Mhm.
So it should ideally it should break or it should throw out some sort of error if you aren't authenticated, if you aren't logged in. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to save a key and your session no longer valid, or you haven't logged in the first place, the
Mhm.
backend should not support that as well, right? Because that's a
Yeah.
pro plan for a logged in customer.
Right.
And actually, me and Adrian has actually just agreed on just developing something in some called a middleware, not just a middleware, just to check whether the user is logged in or not. Because
Yeah,
for
I did
every
that.
other, you did that.
I sent that to Manan earlier.
Okay. Mhm. Then that's not a problem.
So it uses the same
Okay.
token thing. It checks if that cookie exists.
Yeah, just tell you that cookie, if the cookie exists,
Yeah.
okay, it's
And
that's
the only exceptions to that are the login and authentication routes, login, logout, sign
yeah.
up, whatever. So because that's the point of that's where you actually won't have a session or a cookie in place, and you need to create one. So
Okay, all right,
it'll
all right.
just let you go through that.
Mhm.
Okay. So one question I have about Arch, and then we can wrap it up, is I want to so I ideally what I do is on Thursday I show what we got and I say, yeah, I would love to have an actual meeting to present this to 10 personal trainers, the people who love Instagram and who could really benefit from this, or Equinox Gym as a company, because they really love marketing, and you can tell by their crazy YouTube videos. Like, they have interesting advertisements. They put a lot of money into marketing. And so what I want to do is I want to use Vistaprint to get like a poster board or something kind of big that has a giant QR code on it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place like an Equinox like ad in that QR code so that they just get the idea. And plus Equinox has great footage and good like music and stuff, so we don't have to make um a high quality professional video. And but I want to make sure that I'm using the right AR code. Are we going to be using a regular one or one with a picture in the middle? Do we need to have a picture in the middle, or can we maintain tracking with a regular one?
You just need a QR code. That's it. Doesn't matter. It's a
Okay,
picture.
so I can
Yeah,
a
and
regular
but
QR code, slap it on a poster, and it doesn't matter. We can reroute whatever media has to be appended to it.
yeah, for the demo, for the meeting that you have on Thursday, we could just swap out the video in general, in total, with the video you want them to be able to view. So it'll be
Yeah, we'll put an easier to watch, like high quality video than just the video of me.
right. And then once we have the target for the 17th and we are building that part, we'd have to the QR code that you generate for now for this purpose will no longer be valid. We'll have new QR codes that come in for that. So if you're printing something out, that's why that is what I was trying to talk to
Yeah,
you.
but we can make it valid again, right?
Not really, because that QR code is actually of a URL. The contents of the the QR code point to a URL, and if you change that URL, that which is what we're going to do, that the old URL will not be valid anymore.
So what are we gonna make the URL?
Yeah, I wanted to have
It's
a
gonna-
discussion about
Is
this.
it gonna be like arch.turn.ac or something like that?
Yeah, arch.turn.ac, and then with a unique ID after that to identify which video will be played, which QR code, which individual unique QR code this is. So
Okay, we'll dig into it Wednesday because I can't order this for something that's gonna work for like no time. It's just that Vistaprint takes a
Yeah.
while, so that's why. I mean, maybe I could go to Staples and get a larger poster, like printed out faster. It's just I don't think it's gonna look as nice.
yeah,
But okay, guys, that's Scrum. That's Scrum and some. So we'll save the rest for tomorrow and do whatever breakout meetings we have. I might try to round up. I may round up a few of you towards the end of the day to sort of go over Maxim's structure and just talk about overhaul structure in general preparation going forward. But for now, just regular and Wasim too. So those are the two other things that could pop up today.
yeah. I haven't heard back from Masim either. So that's
Yeah, we'll get them. All right, guys. Talk to everyone later.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.